from the Bell School, Coral Bell School of Asia Pacific Affairs in the ANU College of Asia and the Pacific, which is the sponsor of this event. And on behalf of CAP and all my colleagues, let me first acknowledge and celebrate the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples, the first Australians on whose traditional lands we meet and whose lands were never ceded, and pay our respects to the elders past and present. I guess if anyone knows what it means to experience convulsion and disruption, it is indeed the first peoples of Australia since the start of colonization in 1788. I want to say just a little bit about the event that brings us all together. Asia Pacific Week is the signature undergraduate conference of the College of Asia and the Pacific, now in its 15th year, and as someone who joined the ANU 17 years ago, I have certainly always enjoyed being involved in previous conferences and can tell you that it is a very well established part of our annual college calendar and one that we all very much look forward to each year. It is an honor to welcome all of you, the delegates, about whom you will soon learn more, and I know you had a chance to get to know each other last night. And let me also say what a pleasure it's been to work with this year's director, Vivien Deng, whom I will be passing things over to in a bit. And what a pleasure it's been to work with the 10 members of the organizing committee, who will soon be introduced to you. And last but not least, certainly not least, my faculty co-convener, Dr. Nicholas Hoare, whom I think you've had a chance to meet last night as well. More properly, Nick should be seen as the lead faculty convener, and I'm the one who just sort of follows along and learns the ropes from him. We're soon going to be hearing from our dean, Professor Helen Sullivan, but before I introduce Helen, I'm first going to pass the mic on to Vivien, who has some important announcements.
In this hall, we have 3 emergency exits, 1 up the front, 2 up the back. In the event of an evacuation, please remain calm, slowly make your way out, and we would meet at the South Oval, which is right behind this building. Secondly is media. So the speeches of this opening ceremony will be recorded. That will be the Dean's speech, my speech, as well as Qin Qin's speech. After that, we will have a Q&A session with Qin Qin that will not be recorded. They will cut there. If you do have any concerns about media or recording, please speak to the committee after the opening ceremony. And just as a reminder, please keep phones on silent for the duration of this opening ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivien. We will soon be hearing more from Vivien, but right now it's indeed my pleasure to introduce Professor Helen Sullivan, a globally recognized scholar of public policy and our truly extraordinary dean. Now, it's really quite common for deans to be subjected to subdued jeers, but in this case we have a dean who in the last 2 college forums got enthusiastic cheers. In fact, I will say 2 hip hip hoorays, 2 times 3 hip hip hoorays from those of us in the college, all in gratitude for her tireless efforts in seeing us through challenging times. We have an academic leader who is forthright, candid, deeply devoted to institution building, not just trusted, but greatly admired and appreciated throughout the college. So it's a great pleasure to welcome Helen for her welcome comments to Asia Pacific Week 2025.
Thank you so much, Paul. There's really not much I can say now that won't be a disappointment to you, so I could just depart now, but I won't. As Paul says, my name's Helen Sullivan, and I have the very great privilege of being Dean of the College of Asia and the Pacific. And I know some of you know this because some of you are our students, but for those of you who don't, The college is an absolutely unique collection of scholars and technicians who work across the region in pursuit of new knowledge with communities and also for the benefit of all of us. It is something that is unparalleled anywhere else in the world. So if nothing else this week, just take every opportunity that you can to dig into what's on offer here and to make connections and build relationships, because this is a very, very precious resource. We are very fortunate at the Australian National University that part of our founding mission remains to further knowledge about the region and build Australia's connectedness into the region for the benefit of all of us. That is something that is distinctive to our university, and we take it incredibly seriously. And that is why we are fortunate to have such amazing scholars such as Paul and Nicholas, and indeed we are able to attract undergraduates of your calibre to come and work with us for a week. We were hoping to have Auntie Serena Williams here to do a welcome to country for you, but unfortunately she's unwell. So I'd just like to add my acknowledgement of the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, and pay my respects to elders past and present, but also to extend that respect to all of you who are from First Nations communities. Again, the college takes very, very seriously our engagement with First Nations communities from across Asia and the Pacific, and it's an important part of our scholarly and community enterprise. So it says here, we've got delegates from 23 countries and 15 universities. So let's get some stuff out of the way first. How many of you here are at the ANU, studying at the ANU? All right, so that's about half of you. Okay. Of the rest of you, how many of you are studying at Australian universities? Okay. Now, is there anybody who has been left out? Is that everybody? Okay, right. Let's start with the exciting guests. From China. Okay. I studied at the University of York in 1989. You probably weren't even born then. Anyway, never mind. It's a lovely university. Who else do we have from outside the Academy of the ANU and Australia? Come on, there were a few. Yes. Yeah, be careful with the seats. That's a whole other WHS thing we need to worry about.
Hi everyone, my name is Christy and I am from Fiji. I majored in accounting and information systems.
Oh, wow. Okay. Excellent. Fantastic.
I grew up in Samoa, but I'm studying at home.
Oh, okay. So New Zealand, yes. We often forget about our New Zealand partners, but that's wonderful. Yes, I'm British, but I fallen into that terrible Australian trap of, thinking, oh yeah, Australia, that's all of that stuff, isn't it? But you're very welcome, and thank you for reminding us about the importance of New Zealand. Anybody else want to share where they're from? Yes, please.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Rika. I come from Indonesia. I study international relations.
Fantastic. And I think Indonesian is the language that is most common here. So we have multiple languages, but I think the most common one is Indonesian. Well done, all of you Indonesianists. So we need to embed your skills into the Australian population, because it is a terrible, terrible situation, just how poor we are at speaking other languages in this country, particularly Indonesian, which is one of our closest neighbours. All right, so who's come furthest then? So we've got two people who've come from China, somebody who's come from Auckland, which doesn't really count. Samoa you could have got away with. Anybody come from further away than China? No? Come on. Oh, but we've had Pakistan. Did you come from Pakistan, or are you studying here?
China.
Oh, you came from China. I'm sorry. I've got you. You're the kind of representative of the global student, aren't you? Yes. Okay, so you could have had either Pakistan or China, but okay. You went for China. Fair enough. Anybody further away from China than China?
I don't think he's here today, but one of our delegates is from Italy.
Oh. The last time I did this, we had somebody from Uzbekistan who I announced proudly that there was somebody in the audience from Uzbekistan, and was it you that told me he was actually on a Barry's bus from Sydney and would be joining us later? So that didn't go down quite so well. But there's somebody here who maybe, there was a bit of nudging and pushing. Does anybody want to own up to being from anywhere? No? Come on, you're all going to need to get to know each other, so you might as well start now. No? No, you all got very bashful. Okay, anybody else like to? So do we have anybody who's come from Europe then, other than our Italian friend who's not here? No? So China. Oh,
I'm from Norway, but I study at ANU.
Okay, we'll do Norway. We'll do Norway. Okay, so if we go from countries of origin, we have Pakistan, we have Samoa, we have China, we have Norway, we have Italy, but he's not here, so that doesn't count for the moment. Anybody further away than Norway?
It's not further away than Norway, but I'm in an odd situation. I'm born in Australia, Australian student, but I've just come back from a year-long exchange in the Philippines. So I about 2 weeks ago, so it's the first thing I'm doing.
Oh, fabulous. Well, you need to spend quite a bit of time with Paul Hatchcroft here, who's one of our eminent Philippines specialists, and has probably forgotten more about the Philippines than most of us will ever learn. All right, so anybody else want to own up where their country of origin is?
I come from India.
Ah.
I'm studying at UC.
You study at UC. Okay. Whereabouts in India?
Mizoram. It's in the northeastern region. Yeah, it's one of the smallest states. It's called Mizoram.
Oh, wonderful. And how long have you been in Australia for?
It's been a year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, how are you finding it?
It's amazing. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, you're kind of obliged to say that, aren't you, when you're in a week-long course with other people. But no, wonderful, welcome. So, really, I mean, aside from just me getting a sense of who some of you are, what we have here and what we always have here at this event is just this extraordinary collection of people who have come from, whether directly or indirectly, all over the world, and who represent so many diverse voices and perspectives. And I think sometimes, certainly at the ANU, and probably at some of the other universities that you've attended, we take for granted that one of the incredible privileges that we have as a university is this community of students and scholars who come from very, very different places and have very, very different perspectives. And it's through those exchanges, through both the things that we share in common, but also the differences that we have, differences of experience, differences of view, that we learn about what it means to be a good human being. And we need that now more than ever. Paul's indicated the theme of this week's conference, and you're going to be dealing with a lot of stuff that's disruptive and difficult. But you're the people who, through your own skills, your own abilities, and what you do together, are going to be our best hope for making things better. So I would really, really encourage you to just take every opportunity that you have this week. Make your scholars, make your panelists work as hard as you can to get everything out of them that will be of benefit to you. Higher education, as some of you will know, is not entirely popular. In Australia, in the UK, in the United States, in Canada, there are some places in the world where it's still highly prized, but in many places we are seen as self-indulgent and out of touch. Now, I know, my colleagues know, and hopefully you already know, that nothing could be further from the truth. That university is a great opportunity for us to learn together, to challenge ourselves, and to take that learning and knowledge out into the world. But in order for us to do that, we have to work very hard for you, and you have to make us work very hard. And I know from just having a quick look at your profiles that you are all extraordinary individuals who I am sure will make us, well, not me, because you won't be seeing me again, so it's great for me to say all of this. But having said that, I'm probably the least qualified person that you will come across this week. You will be engaging with people who have extraordinary knowledge and expertise in the region, and I really, really urge you to take advantage of that. Vivien, thank you for writing such a beautiful script that I have wandered away from. But I want to thank Vivien for leading the organising group so well, and Nicholas and Paul for their tireless commitment to this programme, which is incredibly important to us, but which takes a lot of putting together. And the more seamlessly it works, the more we know that lots and lots of people have put in a huge amount of work to make it look like that. So you're going to have lots of different experiences, but try and make as much both in the classroom, but also, this is a beautiful campus. It's freezing cold, I do acknowledge that. But it is a beautiful campus, and it's really worth spending a bit of time wandering around. And if you do get a chance, take a look at some of the extraordinary tree carvings that our colleague Paul House has done on some of the trees surrounding the Coombs building, because they're really quite extraordinary. So I want to thank you for taking the time, for travelling from however far or near you've travelled from, and I'm sure you are all going to have the most extraordinary time, but the real benefit of this is the connections that you make with each other and the relationships you build that we hope are going to leave you in a better place to help us all solve the problems that we face. So with that, I will say thank you, and have a very, very, very good week. And don't forget to go into the Coombs building, but take somebody with you or you better get out. Thank you.
Pleasure working with Deng in preparations for this conference. I first got to know Vivien last year when she was one of the content coordinators, and I got roped in for a panel that had a terrific discussion on ASEAN. This year, we've got a new theme. Last year, the theme was confluence and creation. This year, reflecting the times of 2025, it is convulsion and disruption. And the panel on ASEAN was last year, and this year it is a sort of counterpart panel that will be later today on BRICS and the sort of continuing tensions between authoritarianism and democracy throughout the region. But Vivien is someone who comes into Asia Pacific Week with great experience and has really done a terrific job of shepherding all of this towards this opening ceremony this morning. She is a double major, both in international security studies as well as languages. I think she'll be delivering her address, though, her welcome remarks in English this morning, but rest assured she could go in several other languages if she wanted to. So I'll pass it over to Vivien. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Paul for the very kind words. And unfortunately, I'm not as good as Professor Sullivan in sort of improvising, so I will be reading off a script that I have put my effort into preparing. So good morning to all delegates, the committee, all our invited guests. My name is Vivien, and I am the Student Director of Asia Pacific Week 2025. So in Australia, it is important that we recognise the continuing connection of First Nations people to the land, and that we respect the cultural protocols of the country that we meet on. And thus, I too would like to begin with an acknowledgement of country to the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, the traditional owners of the land on which we are gathered here today. I pay my respect to all First Nations people present with us today, and I'd also like to extend my respects to the traditional custodians of the land from where each of you have travelled from, whether that be within or outside of Australia. A very warm welcome to all our delegates here today to the beautiful campus of ANU. It is a thrill to be able to finally meet you in person after weeks of seeing your names in emails and lists, finally having a face and seeing you in person. Getting here I know was not easy for all of you. There was a long application process, it was competitive, there was the time and commitment, countless emails from us, from you, and then just, it's cold, the freezing Canberra mornings. I had trouble getting out of bed this morning. But nevertheless, each and every one of you are here because of your interest and engagement with the Asia Pacific region. So APW prides itself in being an innovative and interdisciplinary conference. And because of that, we have an equally interdisciplinary committee who I'd like to get up to the front to introduce ourselves and show your faces. So one thing about APW is it is entirely student-led by undergraduate students. We have spent this entire semester preparing this week for you. And some of them are taking it as part of an internship course, others voluntarily completely. And I'll get everyone to introduce themselves with their name, your role, and maybe what you study as well. That's okay.
Hi guys, I'm Rihanna. I'm a content coordinator for the conference, which means I was in charge of organising the academic panels. And I study a Bachelor of Philosophy Honours, which is an undergraduate research arts degree.
I'm Hazel. I'm also the other content coordinator. I study a Bachelor of Arts majoring in Gender Studies and Development Studies.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam. I'm the Deputy Director of Finance and I study Bachelor of Economics.
Hi everyone, I'm Rose. I'm the other Deputy Director of Events, which just means I was in charge of all your meals, accommodation, a few other things. I'm an honours student, which Australian students would be familiar with, but essentially just means I'm writing a thesis after my bachelor's degree on Korean sociolinguistics.
Hi everybody, I'm Anuva. I'm one of the special projects coordinator, which means I helped organize all of the fun activities that we'll be doing in this conference. And I study law and arts at ANU.
Hi everyone, I'm Ari. I'm the delegates coordinator and I study international security studies and arts. And I basically with Sinead just look after you guys.
Yeah, so I'm Sinead, the other delegates coordinator. I'm studying a Bachelor of Economics and a Bachelor of International Relations.
I'm Zara, the other special projects coordinator with Anuva, and I am studying a Bachelor of Asian Studies, majoring in Indonesian culture, language, everything like that.
Hi everyone, I'm Joshua. I'm my second year studying a Bachelor of Arts and Asian Studies, and I'm one of the media marketing coordinators.
Hey guys, I'm Jinshi. I'm the other media marketing coordinator, and I'm studying political science here at ANU.
So thank you to the amazing committee. It would not have been possible with any of this without their work. And you will all get to know them throughout the week. I will force them to also network with you. So we've got the week to get to know each other. Thank you. So for the conference itself, APW, we aim to promote academic learning on contemporary topics through panels, but we also emphasize the importance of learning through immersion through our cultural activities. 25 Conference now features a packed program of both familiar and fresh events. We will have 6 academic panels, our signature language tasters, and the multicultural night fair. But also this year we bring together the first collaboration between APW and the Australian Institute of International Affairs through a networking night. We will have the opportunity to learn an Indigenous language in our language tasters and also try your hand at kendo in one of our workshops. The organising committee have worked tirelessly to create this program for you, and we hope you will find it as exciting as we do. When discussing this year's theme, we very much wanted it to reflect the global turbulence that is threatening peace and stability around the world today. In these unprecedented times of rapid change, it is easy to question ourselves to feel emotional yet disconnected, to want to shut ourselves out from the negativity. But it is now more than ever that we must stay aware, informed, and engaged. We wanted the theme to capture not only shifts in power and influence, but also our attention. Like how changing the camera's focus on the same picture will tell a different story, we must remain critical of who is telling what narrative. Moreover, we must be open to different perspectives and interpretations, and recognize that there may be multiple truths in a single space. Apart from global challenges, I encourage delegates to think about what convulsion and disruption looks like for you at a more local and personal level. Are they forks in the road, rivers to cross, or perhaps a storm to endure? And how can you turn these disruptive circumstances into opportunities for positive change? These are all questions I encourage you to explore throughout this week's conference. I hope each of you come out of this conference with a better understanding of the plurality and the complexity of this dynamic region, and remembering that cultures and challenges are not defined by political borders. I hope this week sparks a curiosity in something new. Many of the discussions that we have will only be the tip of the iceberg, and I encourage you to continue diving into these topics way beyond the conference. Finally, I encourage you to use this conference as a platform to amplify knowledge and experiences with each other, celebrate each other's achievements, and spread positivity, because the world needs more of it in these convulsive and disruptive times. Once again, welcome to Asia Pacific Week 2025. I wish you all a rewarding conference, and thank you.
Served it on a sizzling hot plate, not too spicy, and yeah, it became a classic, a sure bet. So the reason I mention Mongolian lamb is because back in my good girl kind of people-pleasing days, if Vivien had invited me to do this talk, I would have done the Mongolian lamb version. That means I would have said probably the right things about leadership, wanted to impress you with some of the things that I've done, and probably found an inspirational quote from a politician. I would have actually done it as Lisa as well, because that's my easier to pronounce name. That was before the screw-ups. I went through too many crises, as Paul mentioned, not only the quarter-life ones, but midlife and many in between. Now, Vivien mentioned that these could be called rivers to cross, that was very poetic, or storms to endure. I've heard them called another thing, face punches. It meant that that whole story about success, well, one version of success, the one made through ego and competition and celebrated at places like these and other elite institutions, it didn't make sense anymore in my experiences. It didn't match up to what I'd gone through. So this talk isn't Mongolian lamb. It's more like, has anyone had bitter melon, 苦瓜? Yes, so yes, you have too, awesome. So 苦瓜 is kind of a sickly green gourd with boils. And have you had lotus root, 莲藕? Yep, some head nodding. So 莲藕 has the mouthfeel of raw potatoes. But the thing is, actually, both of them have medicinal qualities, and when you stir fry them together, they're delicious. So this talk is more that. Now, in this bit of quiet, as we settle in, I'd love if we could set an intention to be open-minded. As Vivien said, this is about holding multiple truths. So perhaps in the freshness of this moment, could you set aside everything that you think you might know about this talk, the people around you, this whole week, for an open mind and a new experience? Could that be an intention that you have every day for every session? Now, the conference theme is convulsions and disruptions, and you'll obviously learn a lot about that geopolitically. So in this talk, I want to focus on the personal ones, and also get you to experiment perhaps with some small disruptions, and show you how you might make some meaning from them, from what you'll inevitably face as you go through life. We don't hear that much about the behind the scenes of someone's professional life and these crises. Not the ugly parts, not the gaps in the resumes, the non-productive times, and especially not how people have dealt with them. So what I want to tell you is that hopefully, and actually I believe this, that no matter where you're at, all is going to be okay. But let's back up a bit. I mentioned Lisa, right? I went by Lisa for decades. I named myself after my favorite Simpsons character. Have you seen the show? Yes, okay. So, Lisa Simpson, there's this episode where Springfield Elementary School is closed. Lisa is freaking out because the teacher is on strike. She paces the kitchen and then she turns to her mum, Marge, and she's like, grade me, evaluate me, rank me. I'm so good and also smart. That was my motto. You've seen the clip then, Nick. Yeah, I started with piano. Does anyone play piano? Then violin, Kumon. Any Kumon people? If you don't know Kumon, that's a good thing. It's maths, extracurricular maths. It was all part of that belief, like work hard, go to a good school, become a professional and get highly paid. That's the Asian model minority messaging. Head nodding, right? But where is the opt-out clause? I wasn't very good at maths, hence Kumon. I spent my days writing poetry and getting lost in books. But there's no opting out. You're not a science person. You like words? Okay, be a lawyer. I knew the you can do anything spiel wasn't for me. I was born in Guizhou in China. Do you know it? Some people? Yeah. It's the poorest province. And now, because it's actually had so much poverty and underdevelopment, people flock there for nature. And I came to Canberra when I was 3. It was the usual migrant story. Stressful, poor, parents working menial jobs, initially living in public housing. There was, violence and a lot of times that was probably the reason why I was lost in books as well, because of escapism. And what I wanted or how I felt wasn't a focus, especially not for choosing a career. So when I got to school, I studied what my parents and society told me to study, alongside all the other excellent sheep. Have you heard of that term? It's actually from a student in a Yale professor's class who coined it for a way to describe high-achieving conformists. So 22 years ago, when I came to this campus, I began studying commerce and law. Now, the first week of semester, the law school is just actually right around the corner. Please go see if you haven't already. It's U-shaped, it's a beautiful white building, and it's on the lawns that we were gathered, a bunch of first years with a final year student. And he gave us some sage advice. He said, law school is where you learn to think. You learn to think like a lawyer. And I was a bit skeptical. That didn't sound very good. I didn't know what that meant. And later I realized thinking like a lawyer actually meant growing a huge ego and wanting to get ahead. I wanted to make it so much. In fact, I joined so many societies and tried to do all the right things. People thought I had political aspirations rather than the beginnings of full-blown workaholism. One time, I applied to a women's leadership opportunity. I chased it up when I hadn't heard back. Maybe it's like all the emails, the back and forth emails that you had gotten. And I wrote, could you please let me know whether you've received my application and if it was successful? The reply, your application was unsuccessful. The women's retreat is for executive professionals that have commercial experience, while you are yet to graduate. So, okay, that made a small dent in my ambitions, but I kept going. Eventually, I made it. 7 years studying to be a solicitor, and I was at a top-tier firm in Sydney. But what happened when I found out I hated being a lawyer? That's the quarter-life crisis Paul mentioned. I used to look out the window from the office tower and want to swap places with the window washers. When I got to the train station in the morning, I would imagine taking the train the opposite direction. And I read books that had titles, I kid you not, like Hell Has Harbour Views and Pinstripe Prison. So I had to face up to it. My colleague called it the stench of decaying dreams, mine and those around me. Eventually, I quit and did something completely different. But the pressure was still relentless. Pressure to live up to my ancestors and parents' sacrifices. Pressure to be the good model minority migrant. Work hard, don't rock the boat, assimilate. And then there was the pressure of education as well. When I made it to Harvard, people would literally sign off emails to changing the world. And then there's that pressure you all have. Literally, the dean told you, you are our best hope for making things better. Now, how do you cope with that kind of stress? I found ways to cope. I'm not saying that they were healthy, but my strategy was dissociation. Now, I mentioned the escapism when I was a kid of books. Up that ante, at Harvard each week, I'd eat at least 1 tub of Ben & Jerry's ice cream on special, while sitting propped up with pillows in bed, streaming TV shows on my laptop. I didn't know how else to deal with the terror except to numb it out. So I want to try something small with you. This is the first experiment. If you can, could you please take a pen and paper? I think in your conference there's a notes sheet at the back. Or you could open up your notes app. Now, this first experiment is adapted from the late author Louise Hay's work, and it's about shoulds. So, can you either on your notes app or the piece of paper write the heading I should? And this is about looking at the shoulds in the background. I should read more geopolitical books. I should be doing more work so I don't fall behind. I should visit my parents more often. What are your shoulds from your family, your culture, school, religion, social media? I'll set a timer for a minute and just write whatever shows up. No editing, no overthinking. What comes up? Thirty seconds. All right, and finishing off what you're writing. Did it surprise or shock you to see some of them written out? Does anyone want to be brave enough and share any? 1 or 2 or 3? Yes?
So I wrote, I should work harder, study more, be kinder, and reach out to more people.
I should work harder, study more, be kinder, and reach out to more people. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share? Just whatever you're comfortable with. Yes?
The first thing that I wrote was, I should rest more.
I should rest more. Yeah, see, some of the should you think they're actually good, but I should rest more can be a lot of pressure as well. Yes, thank you. And one more, yeah?
I think I got the opposite. I should waste less time.
I should waste less time. That's the thing about shoulds, right? It could be either or, but no matter what they are, Louise Hay says, should is one of the most damaging words in our language. Every time we use should, we are in effect saying wrong. Either we are wrong, or we were wrong, or we're going to be wrong. I don't think we need more wrongs in our life. We need to have more freedom of choice. So what if you crossed out the shoulds and changed them to could ... but instead? What opens up? For example, I should work harder becomes I could work harder, but I'm exhausted. And this is really hard, and it's amazing that I could even get up and be here today and tie my shoelaces. Can we just acknowledge that this reality of being a human is really hard? Do you see? And even the thing is though, these minor disruptions and even this self-awareness of knowing what your subconscious shoulds are, for me, that wasn't enough. If it was, reading 1,000 self-help books would have worked. I tried that. The only way I found to exit the programming is through crisis. Now, why is that? It's because when you're in a crisis, all those shoulds, they don't even become coulds, they become can'ts. I can't work harder. I can't waste more. I have to waste more time because I can't not waste time, right? Author and Professor Kimberly Patton says, it is highly likely that in such disorienting times, illusions will shatter, old ideas and attachments will be burned up, old ways of being will dissolve. So what happened in my life was life got too lifey for the ducks to be lined up in a row. Stuff comes up all the time that you can't plan for. My ducks squawked and flew away. Now, our culture doesn't give dignity to falling apart. But it's the only way to die. And I don't mean die as in die, but a psychological death. Those are the deaths necessary to change the scripts and the framing. In a period of personal or societal disruption, could you accept and allow yourself to fall apart? Let me give an example. At some point in my mid-30s, I had something more serious than not wanting to be a lawyer anymore. I was really burned out. At this point, I'd been working in international development at the Asia Development Bank and at UNICEF. But by this point, I'd been unemployed for a while. I'd uncovered some repressed memories of serious childhood trauma and found out I had a debilitating autoimmune disorder. People talk about a sabbatical, a short break to go traveling. This wasn't that. I didn't know it then, but it would take me 5 years of not working much at all, especially I could not work part-time, not even that. 5 years of no longer being productive. Who even was I if I wasn't productive? Let me share a small slice of what that was like. I went to a public library. Like all bookworms and nerds, libraries are my happy place. This library, though, happened to be in Mullumbimby. Have you heard of it or been there? Yep, some head nodding. It's a small town, population 4,000, near its more famous neighbour, Byron Bay. I was surrounded in this library by children's books and young adult novels, and I sat awkwardly at a desk which had a laminated sign that said, "Homework area for the exclusive use of patrons under 18. The thing is, the library was a safe space for using my laptop. My husband James and I got death stares in the place we were staying at, Niagara, for doing Zoom calls. What happened was, over there, no one questioned you if you started shaking wildly in front of the sun or went primal screaming in the meditation center before 8 a.m. But doing productive work, no way. To be fair, that lodging that I went to was where I tried to find myself. It was called Gondwana Sanctuary and an intentional community. It was set up by the spiritual teacher Osho's Orange people, so called because they wore orange robes. Osho, have you heard of Osho? Some people. He actually was a spiritual teacher but had 96 Rolls Royces, and it turned out that the people in his communes, they later found out, were having drug-induced orgies. James didn't know that though when he sent the inquiry for us to try communal living. That experiment didn't work out very well. But far from being a distraction from achieving my goals, those confusing, uncertain 5 years was one of the most important in my life. It was the start of my writing career. Now, we can't talk about crisis without the package deal. Fear, anxiety, grief, heartache, it all comes together. And there are forces at work which try to keep us that way, terrified, sticking to those shoulds. There are ways out. Not in the ways that people say, though, if you're having trouble sleeping or that you're anxious and they say, "Have you tried meditating yet?" And you reply with gritted teeth, yes. Because that happened to me. One of the first times I tried meditating, I got in the car and I drove, and the first traffic light I turned and smashed into a car. So I went straight back home and did the usual of ordering pizza and watching TV. I had a vague sense that I may have willed it into being to stop myself from meditating, like a slightly somber variation of the hashtag manifestation, which became pandemic trendy. And it's only later that I realized fear was in the driver's seat. The adrenaline from that car crash had distracted me from realizing he'd orchestrated that chaotic situation. If it took almost killing me to stay in control, he'd do it. I persisted though, and eventually I found my way back to meditation and other practices that I was really scared of at first, and avoided any car crashes. Now I've gotten to the point where fear and me, we're frenemies. It's a fragile piece of cord. And he's sitting here, I have to call it out. He's sitting here wrapped up in a soft pink cashmere blanket and drinking a strawberry milkshake. Just as there will always be disruptions, there'll always be fear. Let's try another disruptive experiment. So, with your pen, could you hold it in your non-dominant hand, the one that you're not used to using? If you're usually right-handed, use your left hand. And could you draw something, anything, for a minute? I'll set another timer. There's no right or wrong and no fixing. Just try. "30 seconds. All right, welcome back. How did you find that? Do you want to share any initial impressions? One or two people? Sorry, up the back, yeah? So what did you say? Flowers, yeah. How did you find the experience, I mean?
Peace, I think like peace and love.
Peace and love, yeah, you felt peace and love. Anyone else, how did you find it? Yes?
Challenging but doable, and the more I do it, I'm getting used to using this hand.
Yeah, challenging at first, but the more you do it, the more you get used to it. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even about the drawing itself. It's about interrupting the part of you that's been trained to get it right. Neuroscientists and art therapists have found using your non-dominant hand taps into different parts of your brain, often the quieter, more intuitive sides. And it can help you get out of the loop and quiet a bit more of that inner control freak. So, it got to the point where I had to start asking more questions. Who are you beyond other people's expectations and your shoulds? Who could you be if you were open to the possibilities of a crisis or convulsion that comes up? And who might you become if you listened to that small, quiet voice? The one thing that I always questioned was that small, quiet voice, and I never questioned anything else. What if you flipped it and let that crisis break you open enough to hear it? There aren't any neat answers to these questions, and that's the point. The German poet Rilke said, "Live everything. The point is to live the questions." And when I was broken open enough, that small, quiet voice told me, stop pretending and you're fake fitting in. You have unlived lives. So that's what I'm trying to do now. Qin Qin loved storytelling and books, and now I'm telling the stories that set me more free, not the ones that bind me. And I'm still unlearning as I go. So one final small experiment. This one might help you disrupt the way you see reality. It's called 3 and 90. Let's take a short pause. You can put down your notebook and pens now. Perhaps you might like to get a bit comfier in your seat. And you could perhaps close your eyes or soften your gaze. You could take a deeper inhale and a longer exhale. In the quiet, could you visualize the people around you? Those you're sitting next to, yourself, me. Could you see us all as 3-year-olds? Soft faces, bright, curious eyes, maybe a little bit wobbly. And now, could you picture these same people at 90 years old? Wrinkled, slower, wiser, still human, still here. What's it like to see us all beyond our current identities, our social roles, and see the full stretch of life? Whenever you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Thank you. And the question is, how might you bring this new way of seeing, this small disruption, to your current reality? Thank you for letting me share my story. It's okay. Does that work? No.
Takes a second. It might be because the system went to sleep. All right.
Okay. How does that? I can talk. It's okay. Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. So, thank you for letting me share my story, for being open to these slight disruptions and experiments. Gandhi said life is a series of experiments, and the upheavals, they're going to be unpredictable, unceasing, totally bewildering, but I hope you can see them in a new way to help you evolve, to grow, and know that you'll be okay, more than okay. I used to judge people for what they did and not see them and myself as who I am. Because of these crises, that changed. And now I know that I can matter beyond what I do or what I don't do. So if someone hasn't told you today that you matter, I'll say it, that you do. You matter beyond what you do or what you don't do. Just by being, you matter. And on this note, I'll end with the Australian poet Judith Wright. She writes on the convulsions and disruptions in her poem, The Lost Man. And by the way, just to call back, my favorite dish from the Asia Pacific is 烧烤茄子, which is char-grilled eggplant. Okay, so Judith Wright, The Lost Man. To reach the pool, you must go through the rainforest, through the bewildering midsummer of darkness, lit with ancient fern, laced with poison and thorn. You must find beneath you that last and faceless pool, and fall. And falling, find between breath and death the sun by which you live. Thank you all.